Hey y'all, it's Darren, Austin Hall here, coming to you from Santa Teresa, Costa Rica. This beautiful Saturday here, and it's been a while since I've shared something on Facebook. I've been traveling in Costa Rica for about 2 months now, and it's been an extraordinary journey. I just came out of the Sound and Silence gathering, which was such a next level experience, and I was at Envision before that, and running my source resonance training and just vibing with all the changes that are happening in my life just on a personal level as I really feel that I'm moving to Costa Rica, and I'll always have Toronto and other places as hubs as well as Europe and such, but especially in the wake of what's going on with the coronavirus, or what I call the crown virus, what others are also calling the crown virus, it seems just prudent for me to stay down here for the time being. But I just wanted to share some thoughts and insights for whoever wishes to listen and hear about my 2 cents on this. First of all, I'm not an expert in viruses and such, but I have some medical expertise in the sense that I have a diploma in acupuncture and Chinese medicine, and I studied medicine quite diligently for 4 years, allopathic medicine as well. Not to the level, of course, of an MD by any means, but I definitely have some know-how in terms of natural-based medicines as well. And I've always felt when things like SARS and H1N1 happen that there's a lot of fear that pops up in the population. And of course, fear can be prudent and natural and a good response on a certain level, but often I think what a lot of us are seeing is there's a fear to degrees that are just not healthy, and fears that compromise our ability to think clearly and rationally. And that's for each of us to sort of check in at what is that good level of fear that's going to actualize our excellence, and that level that goes beyond that. And we need to check in as a community to take care of each other, because we have a huge fear wound in our culture. We are a very atheistic, materialistic culture that doesn't have a lot of spiritual education. And authentic spirituality, one of the main aspects of spirituality that I believe is that it connects you with spirit, the undying energy that is our source, that is our essence. And that's why the yogi said that fear of death is the last great fear to overcome. But that's really what spiritual practices like yoga are aiming at, is to overcome even the fear of death, to know that you have in you something that is beyond death, beyond life even. And so I think it's also important right now to be in connections with our spiritual practices, to meditate, to pray, and to really value that relationship. I think we are being triggered collectively to establish a much more authentic and universal form of spirituality that we can all find, not bypassing necessarily, but just that knowing and that security in that more energetic ethereal realm. I think it's also a time to not really speak boldly about everything that's going on, and that's been actually for a while. I don't feel that's necessarily something with the coronavirus, but we are definitely now in the Earth changes era. It's astrologically there. All the prophecies have portended this time. And as Joanna Macy, one of my great inspirations, said, the great eco-spiritual warrior, in this time of great turning, we are also going to be in a time of great unknowing. We're not going to really know what's happening. And that's really hard on the human ecosystem that wants security, that wants to know at all times what's happening. But what is really happening, the Earth is waking up. This is what Gnostic prophecy has pretended. This is what the Mayans were saying in 2012 as well, with the unity consciousness of the ninth wave being activated, that we are entering into Aquarian age, if you will. And when that shift happens, a lot of the cosmic environment and the earthly environment starts to make changes. And we are supposed to respond to those changes, not react, not to be in reactionariness, but to respond, to meditate, to get in touch with the earth through the portal of our heart, which all the spiritual traditions have said is the access point to the guiding realm. That's why meditation and prayer is so important. So for those who are in isolation right now, whether you're in quarantine or whether you are just following social distancing protocols, take that time to really go within and really relate to God, Goddess, whatever you call that creative power I always try and fast here and there during my days living in the city, and those are beautiful days. I surround myself with scripture and books, holy books, and I just spend those days just like dunking myself into connection with God, with spirit, whatever you want to call it, the great mystery. So, I really just, I look on Facebook and stuff, and everyone's posting this and that, and I've posted stuff too. We're all victim to just being in a bit of an emotional chaos now. But I think we have to be balanced and realize that we're in a time of multidimensionality where more than one thing can be true at once, which means we have to be very tolerant of each other and communicate very flexibly and nimbly with each other. This is not a time to say, hey, why aren't you canceling your events, or why aren't you being, doing this or that. It's like, reach out. Don't demand that people do things or believe certain things. Try and reach out and listen to each other. There's better ways to communicate, and social media is such a bane in terms of creating cohesion and harmony within society, because we're not face to face. People are so much more liable to speak in ridicule of each other, to really denounce and disrespect one another. And you might think, oh, I just made a little sleight of hand post, like what's the big deal? But we're very sensitive creatures, and we need now more than ever, as we go through these earth changes, to really care for each other and take the time to speak with respect and kindness to each other, no matter how disgusted we may be from someone's opinion, and set up good boundaries if someone's really disgusting you. Boundaries are also really important. And also say, on terms of like my own expertise with natural medicines and stuff, having studied for 4 years and having a diploma in Chinese medicine, I will say that we should all be just eating healthy foods and boosting our immunity all the time anyways. We live in probably one of the most polluted environments ever. The amount of radiation that we're living in, we're at war with a system that is living in absolute breaching of eco-spiritual laws that are in place for all humanity to follow or face the consequences. So that should just be already in our daily practices, that we're doing daily practices of yoga, qigong, whatever exercise, get your body moving, and then, mega dosing, vitamin C, vitamin D, especially if you're in Canada. Luckily, I'm in Costa Rica right now, so, viruses are not going to really live in this heat, and I get lots of vitamin D here, and I have access to tremendous water and clean food. But definitely be boosting your, take astragalus, which is really good for the lungs and such. Just doesn't take much to do a bit of research or ask the experts in your community. And that should not be just for this coronavirus. That should be at all times. We should be boosting our immunity. The soil is so depleted of minerals. The last thing I'll say as well is it's been really interesting to be down here when all this is going on. I was just in the Sound and Silence gathering for the 3rd time. It's literally one of the most incredible gatherings on the planet. The amount of love and community and artistry that goes on there is off the charts. And I feel very grateful to be a part of that inner core of that group that's co-creating that now. And, we found it very interesting that we were there for the last week as all of this kind of hit, the global pulse. And it was very interesting just to talk with a lot of visionaries. There was over almost 150 people there, so there's a very high level of consciousness going on. And it seemed that collectively what people are really feeling is that we have been living in disharmony with the earth for way too long, and we've had so many signs, and in the West, in our privileged, comfortable region, we haven't really been listening yet, because it doesn't affect us if Africa or the Middle East is feeling it. But climate changes have been already happening for years now, and we've been sort of like waiting for our politicians to do something. And I think we're all awakening to the fact now that they are absolutely compromised in terms of like making the right decisions. They get lost in their polemics. There's a lot of sociopathy in politics, even downright psychopathy. We can't trust them anymore. That's why I've stopped voting in general for years. I gave up on that system a long time ago, and what's happening with the DNC right now with Bernie and pushing Biden, I mean, we should have all been up in arms the last election. I was definitely enraged in how that all went down. We've been biding our time. you know, we've been biding our times. We don't need another Biden to bide our time. We need to literally make shifts now, and make these shifts out of your heart. Make them out of love. Don't make them out of fear. Don't make them out of panic. We're all going to die anyways at some point. You know, death is a door. It's not something to fear. If someone in your life is ill, is dying, be there for them, care for them, make sure their transition is beautiful. Don't be fearful. Be courageous for them. Be courageous for yourself. My father, you know, died in the hospital from being immunocompromised, you know, and there's a virus floating around the hospital, and he deteriorated over 2 months. Luckily, he was a very spiritual man, so he died, you know, with a smile on his face. He was not afraid of death. That was a great medicine that he gave me, and it was a beautiful time for me to just like care for him and support him. I really will value that for the rest of my life, being able to help him passage into death in that way. So don't get so fearful about that. People will die. People are dying all the time from other common illnesses like the flu. Really look into that. But I do just want to say that now is the time to really just go into prayer to Mother Earth, not to necessarily God up above in the cosmos, although they're both, you know, two poles, two pillars in this whole divine universe that we're living in. But we need to really get in touch with Gaia, because she's been ignored. The goddess has been ignored for too long. And if you don't know, the ancient name of Sophia, which is the goddess Earth, according to the Greeks and the older Gnostic traditions of Indo-Europe, is wisdom. She is the wisdom goddess. She is here to guide us at all times, as the Taoists say, the guiding realm, and she whispers in our heart, as the Taoists so poetically said. So no matter what is happening in your life at any time, she is there, providing you with exactly the instructions you need. But it's a subtle voice, and you have to work on your meditation skills to be in that kind of alignment. But do not fear. We were born for this. These changes are inevitable, and I think we have to step into the mystery now. The mystery that our Earth is going to shift. The systems have to collapse in some way or another. And it could be a very slow, beautiful transformation. It doesn't necessarily have to be an apocalyptic scenario. And that's up to us. You know, we have the choice to shine a beautiful light of caringness and lovingness. Lovingness that is like a warrior of love, that will not be perturbed, that will not fall into conflict, that will not chide, ridicule others unkindly, that's going to stand as a force of heroic consciousness in this time of great adversity. Our credo, those of us who are choosing to be those love earth warriors, our credo is sweet are the uses of adversity, as Shakespeare said. We are not afraid of this. We are actually excited to face this adversity and show the brilliance of our humanity and our ability to adapt with the earth, for the earth. She is really wanting us to create a paradise on earth with her. We can live in systems that are graciously in harmony with her ecology, that are suffused with love, wisdom, where the biggest priority is education, and we can be in that reverent, beautiful, infinite education of learning her wisdom, like all the great spiritual masters and mystics. They all found their wisdom from her. Buddha, the rishis of yoga, they were all forest-dwelling sages. They got their wisdom from her. We are supposed to be here and endlessly learn in the bliss of the mystery school tradition, of the universe cities. And that's why I've decided to stay down in Costa Rica indefinitely. I was going to move here anyways, but with everything that's going on, I'm going to stay here and start building that beautiful temple, that beautiful center. I'm already in touch with a lot of people down here, and there's already so many communities down here that are devoted to living sustainably and with the earth. And my dream is to build an eco-spiritual kind of universe city, a mini temple complex where we can really focus on educating the youth and educating ourselves. And we'll be running a beautiful festival next March here called Gaia Awakening, as part of the birth of that, as part of the birth of the Gaian Collective, as we're calling it. The partners that I'm working with in this visionary culture that we're starting to birth, and we're birthing with so many others. So, you know, join us, really see yourself as Gaian. We're all earth people first. She's shifting us. This is a time for us to shift with her. This is not a time to be in panic. This is a time to actually step up and show what we're made of. And we are made of something that is incredibly brilliant, genius, beauty, an original blessing. It's time to turn back and turn over all those like doctrines of original sin and all those limiting beliefs, and show, you know, the absolute amazing metaphysical abilities that we have. So I'll leave that for now. That's where I'm at, and you know, please share this video. I just feel like I transmitted some good info for people. Please share it far and wide, you know, just to like, you know, get people, you know, thinking about things in these terms, you know. That's why I've started these Wisdom Warrior transmissions anyhow. It's to like provide, you know, spiritual dimensional perspectives on things, you know, because the spiritual needs to really become mainstream. You know, we need an eco-spiritual department in every government which indigenous people are leading. That's a given, and now more than ever. So yeah, just sending you all so much love. I'll be doing a lot more transmissions here from Costa Rica. I'm really settled right now in a beautiful home away from home in Santa Teresa, and I'm going to be here indefinitely. There's a bunch of visionary artists who are going to be joining me. We're making a little compound here, and we're going to be transmitting lots of cool stuff and running lots of rituals. And yeah, don't forget your rituals. You know, we are in a time of magic. We've always been in a time of magic. Get together, do them with yourself if you're social distancing, but really do little rituals, light a candle, get some incense going and pray, and really work on the energetic level. Read Sri Aurobindo and the Mother's writings on bacteria and viruses. They have some very interesting perspectives about how that metaphysical energetic world works and how it actually interacts with our energetic bodies, our koshas, and how we can actually do a lot of cleansing. This is also huge in Hermetic magic, just the visualization of light meditations and such. There's a lot that we can do on an energetic level, and I know a lot of people are like reprimanding people for you know, spiritual bypassing and doing that kind of work, but hey, you know what, that's very important work too. It's all important, all the levels, all the dimensions. A really skillful, masterful human being will be working on all the 7 planes of the chakras. All those dimensions are at work. Spiritual bypassing is just spending time on the spiritual upper chakra work. I believe, yeah, I totally agree with that. We got to do it all, but the spiritual dimensions have definitely been left out of the equation for way too long. We've been persecuted for thousands of years. It's time to bring it back. We need those women, those witchy women who are leading now. They're really stepping up. I see them all over the place, calling on you. This is your time. Come with your beautiful hearts and your radiant care, and really start to, like, you know, get those men around you. They're going to help you create that space in this brutal patriarchal system. It's time for the feminine to really rebalance and rule with the masculine in a new egalitarian partnership society where God and Goddess can bless each other, and we can really be together in the new earth. This is a time of newness, death to rebirth. Let's do this, people. So much glory, so much love to you. I'll be here, I'll be coming to you again, and you know, if you need some support on the spiritual level, definitely go to my Spotify, my album Mystical Meditations. There's 7 meditations there that I made with a lot of intention, with crystal bowls, and they work on 7 different dimensions of your being, from healing the heart, from healing your connection with the earth, to also a shaking meditation if you're feeling like you need to get stagnant energy flowing again, and even a chakra toning exercise if you want to spend each day for 15 minutes just working on powering up your chakras. As Helena Blavatsky said, when you work with the 7 chakras in that way, with sound, you're powering up all your endocrine glands, which interface with the chakras. They are the step down of that dimensional energy into the 3rd. And your endocrine system is your inner pharmacopoeia. So when your endocrine glands are starting to really function powerfully and strongly, it's kind of like the shortcut to good health. So I recommend doing those chakra chants on the daily, even multiple times a day. Bring your friends together. Spotify, Darren Austin Hall, Mystical Meditations. I think that'll be a really good resource for people as well. Yeah, there's Mama Ocean. Come join me in Costa Rica if you can. If you're really feeling the call, that this is the time to really make those decisions. There's a lot of beauty happening down here, and Costa Rica is prophesized to be one of the places where these new earth communities are really going to anchor, and I really feel that. So yeah, much love to you all, and remember, sweet are the uses of adversity. Pura vida.